The Genesis brand has only been playing in the compact luxury SUV space for a couple of years, but that hasn't stopped the GV70 from becoming the brand's best-selling model. I'm here on the show floor of the 2024 LA Auto Show, and this right here is the revised 2026 GV70. Let's take a first look. Now, the Genesis brand is one of the youngest luxury players here in America, so it's no surprise to me that they were kind of late to the entry. However, that hasn't stopped this model from literally becoming their bestseller. Genesis managed to sell around 25,000 units in the States last year. So for 2026, as you can see, while the look of the car may look pretty much the same, the design is pretty similar to what we've seen from other Genesis models. The front fascia, you can see, has their latest G-Matrix grille with the double weave design. You can see this model that we're showing you here is the Sport Prestige version with the kind of dark chrome. I really like the kind of texture that you get with the crest grille with the front end, which has a more predominant kind of faux spoiler at the front, or front splitter, where it kind of has like a skid plate look. You can see the headlights also adopt their MLA arrangement. So these are the micro lens array full LED headlights with the dual line daytime running lights and turn signals. And then this color, as you can also see, is a new color. It's called Ceres Blue. It's a really beautiful color that kind of reminds me a little bit of like a grayish blue. It's got like a cool tone to it. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys like the styling changes they made for 2026. Now, underneath the hood, this is the gas-powered one. We'll show you a separate view of the electric version, but the engines are basically carried over. The base motor is a 2.5-liter turbo 4, making 300 horsepower. This model here, however, has the 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6, making 375 horsepower. All of them come with H-Track all-wheel drive. All of them use an 8-speed auto. There is still no hybrid option, however, but they do have a full electric option. But moving around the side profile, you can see this is the brand's, not the smallest SUV, but it's kind of the right-sized SUV, with a overall length of around 185 inches long, with a 113-inch long wheelbase. This is pretty much the same size as something like an Acura RDX or a BMW X3. You can see this model here, being the Sport Prestige, has a brand new wheel design. Genesis offers a choice between either a 19 or a 21-inch wheel. You can see this wheel is like a classic 5-spoke design with a graphite gray finish. It's certainly a much less polarizing wheel versus the pre-refresh model, which had like a double, or had like a medium sputtering wheel, which had an interesting texture. You can see the tire sizes 255 by 40 R21. They certainly look good along with the painted wheel arch trim. This vehicle has roughly just under 8 inches of ground clearance. You have an adaptive suspension, but no air suspension. But overall, as you can see, this being a refresh, the overall silhouette hasn't really changed. You do have some chrome accents here, power folding mirrors with integrated turn signals, and then you can see also panoramic glass roof that also opens up to vent air, like the low profile black painted roof rails as well. And then following me over to the rear, you can see the design looks pretty much the same. Taillights look the same. The rear bumper, however, has been updated. You can see the exhaust system is kind of integrated into the bumper. It's not really connected to this, but the actual pipe is located behind it. You have a slightly more aggressive looking rear diffuser, along with the typical badging here. This is how you know you have a V6, is that 3.5T badge there. And again, all of them have all-wheel drive. Looking at the cargo area, open this up. The GV70 does have a smaller cargo area than some of its competitors. You should still have roughly the same space, around 29 cubic feet of storage space with the back seats up. There's also a decent underfloor storage area over here. You can see with a temporary spare tire. So I love the fact that Genesis still gives you that. If you want to fold down these seats, you can basically pull that lever there. That expands the cargo to around 57 cubic feet of space, which is a decent amount. But if you guys are looking for more, something like the Acura RDX or the BMW X3 is going to offer roughly 10 to 15 more cubic feet of total space. Now, if you guys are interested in the GV70 but want to go fully electric, Genesis has you covered, of course, with the updated version of the GV70 Electrified. Just like the gas-powered model, it kind of gets the same updates with the G-Matrix grille. Obviously, the grille in this vehicle isn't actually functional in letting you actually let air pass through because this is fully electric. The front fascia also has a slightly different look with the body-colored accents. This kind of interesting little area here in the front splitter area that kind of makes it look a little bit more sophisticated. Again, kind of showing off that this is the electric model. You still get the same MLA micro lens array full LED headlights with the dual line theme, and this white exterior color certainly looks classy, looks very elegant as well. Underneath the hood here, you should still get that little small frunk, and the powertrain, Genesis didn't actually want to talk about it yet, but they did mention that the battery pack in this model is now larger. So the pre-refresh model had a 77 kilowatt hour battery pack. Now it has the 84 kilowatt hour battery pack. Now, they didn't talk about the range just yet for this model, but the old one was around 236 miles. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this one kind of go closer to that 270 mile mark. The current model offers around 429 horsepower, which you can increase to 483 if you guys hit the boost button. They didn't talk about what the power is going to be for this model with the bigger battery pack, but I expect it to probably be similar. Now, a couple of cool touches here. They did update the charge port door here. So if you look on this grille, it's really cleverly hidden, which I love. If you look at this little, I guess this little triangle right here, there's a little arrow there. If you push that, that actually power opens the door, as you can see. And this door, Genesis says, is also heated to allow, if you guys live in a snow belt state, it'll help to melt ice or whatever that might accumulate. And then you can also see when you open that up, this vehicle now has the NAC plug. So that allows you, again, to charge at Tesla superchargers. All 2026 GV70 Electrifieds will launch with this. Again, we don't know what the range is, but this vehicle does run on the 800-volt architecture. So it should be, again, one of the quickest charging EVs that you're going to find in the segment. I also wanted to show you guys really quickly the wheels. You can see on the electrified model, you do have a unique wheel. These are a 20-inch wheel versus the 21 that you found on the gas-powered model. You can see it has a 265 by 45 R20 tire. The wheel has an updated design with kind of like an aerodynamic finish to the wheels. Again, they're trying to give you a little bit better range for this model, so you have kind of the more electrified or more aerodynamic wheels. But overall, I think this vehicle certainly looks good, but I definitely prefer the looks of the gas-powered model. So let me know in the comment section below if you guys prefer the electric or the gas-powered version. Now, the outside of the 2026 GV70 is certainly a very light refresh. And when you look at the interior, this is where you're going to notice more of the bigger changes. And that's because Genesis has made some upgrades to the technology. Now, first of all, these seats. These are the seats that you get with the Sport Prestige with the V6. You can see this is a beautiful premium Napa leather. It's an ultramarine color. So it's a dark blue with the contrast orange stitching and piping and the diamond quilting. These seats look fantastic. Genesis does one of the nicest looking seats you're going to find, especially with the kind of quality of the stitching. The nice leather quality that they use. These seats also adjust in, I believe, 18 different ways. They're heated and ventilated. And then Genesis also offers a massage function on the driver's seat only. That's something that they've done for a while. It's only on the driver's seat, not on the passenger seat, but this definitely makes a great first impression. But let's go ahead and hop inside and show you guys what this brand new interior is like as I shut the door. Door has a really solid sounding thunk. Remember, this is built off of a dedicated rear drive architecture. So this doesn't share anything with something like a Tucson or a Kia Sportage. Now, looking at this interior, if you guys have seen our reviews of the refreshed G80 and GV80, this interior design should be pretty familiar because, as you can see, Genesis has replaced the dual screen layout. The old model had a 14.5-inch display and like a 12.3-inch cluster. Now, all of them have the 27-inch. That's right, it's a 27-inch OLED display. So it's a single display now, and it also has their latest software, which means it has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Finally, the pre-refresh model didn't have that. And you can also see there's a brand new steering wheel here with a flat bottom design. I love the contrast orange stitching and the stitching along the airbag cover that flows really nicely with the Genesis logo. Material quality, I mean, this is a premium luxury brand, and it certainly shows that. You can see there's beautiful leather with contrast orange stitching on the door panels, beautiful metal trim here, nice padded area here. You have window controls that are accented in metal. You have beautiful carbon fiber along the door panel. You have two-person memory seats. There's a brand new 17-speaker Bang & Olufsen stereo that replaces the old Lexicon system. We've had a chance to hear it in other Genesis models. It should sound pretty good as well in this vehicle. The dashboard, you can see, has the same beautiful leather stitching with the contrast orange. You can see there's also gorgeous ambient lighting in this vehicle. The ambient lighting has kind of been redone where you can change the color in multiple different colors. I think there's a total of 30-ish colors, if I remember correctly. The center stack, you can see, has also been redesigned. You have carbon fiber over here, but you can also see it looks pretty similar unless you see the old model next to it. But you can see there's still a control panel here for your climate controls with actual knobs for the temperature. And then you can see the air vents have moved from the upper portion of the dash down into this little area here. You still have touch sensitive buttons here, but I love the fact that Genesis keeps the volume knob and the tuning knob, and your drive mode selector is over here. And then they've also adjusted the way the shifter looks. So you can see this is the control knob here where you can control the infotainment system, and then the shifter is right below it. They've added some different textures to here so you can kind of distinguish the two at a glance where you don't have to kind of look down anymore. It was kind of easy to confuse the two in the pre-refresh model. There's a fingerprint scanner over here, cup holders over here. Your wireless phone charging pad has moved to over here, which I think is the perfect position. Previously, there was a separate door that opened up here that was right in front of the cup holders and was kind of a clunky position. So this is definitely a lot nicer. You have a padded center console here. Open this up, you can see you have two USB-C charging ports, a decent storage area as well, along with a 12-volt power outlet. The seats in this vehicle, I did complain before that Genesis had kind of hard seats, and I have to say these feel a little bit more supple. So I'll have to wait until I have one to test and test for a full week to see if the seats have been improved. I also love the orange seat belts, which goes wonderfully with the ultramarine interior. So I think Genesis is kind of killing it there. The glove compartment you can see is damped, it is lined with felt. It's a bin style. It offers a decent amount of additional storage. And then above me, you can see that panoramic sunroof is very dark tinted. It also opens up to vent air. There's also a power retractable shade and this beautiful ultra suede material in the headliner. So overall, the interior, the front seat area is definitely, you know, a lot nicer in terms of technology, in terms of the layout. I love the fact that they kind of redid things. But let's go ahead and hop into the back seat and show you guys what that space is like. Now, the GV70 is their smaller SUV, so there is going to be less rear seat space versus a GV80. But once I get back here, Genesis says that the old model had around 37.5 inches of legroom. That should stay pretty much the same. You can see at 5'7", there's still a good amount of foot space over here. There is a large hump here that intrudes on the middle passenger. You can see there's tri-zone climate control. You have heated seats back here along with 2 USB-Cs and an actual 12-volt power outlet in addition to rear seat air vents. You have controls here where you can adjust the second row or the passenger front seat again, which is kind of a nice little touch. And then in terms of the material quality back here, you can see there's a retractable shade, which is nice. You have the same leather and ambient lighting here with the metal accents. This is all, again, really high quality stuff that you don't expect to find in this, you know, segment of vehicle entirely. Usually they kind of cheap out, but Genesis kind of carries over the nice materials here. You can see the armrest also folds down and gives you 2 cup holders. This seat also does give you the ability to recline as well, which is nice. It just doesn't slide forward and back. And then in terms of the headroom space, I have a solid maybe 1.5 inches or maybe 2 inches of headroom, so it's not bad. But again, if you're looking for more rear seat space, I believe something like the Acura RDX or the BMW X3 offers a little bit more interior room. So as the best-selling model in the Genesis portfolio, it's not surprising to me that the company would be a little bit conservative with the updates. The exterior styling is very subtly tweaked, but the pre-refresh model was already one of the best-looking vehicles in the segment. The interior got some big upgrades, especially in terms of technology with the wireless CarPlay, with the reimagined center stack, which just seems a little bit more ergonomically correct. I also noticed the seats are a little bit softer. The back seat has enough room for most people, but again, if you want a bigger back seat, buy a GV80 or take a look at the competitors. And while Genesis is still kind of lacking a hybrid option, again, they do have the full electric option, which did get a bigger battery pack this year, which should help improve the range. But overall, this is still a very competitive entry. Now, if you guys are looking to get your hands on the 2026 model, you're gonna have to wait until the middle part of next year, because again, we aren't even in 2025 yet, but this is a 2026. And of course, Genesis hasn't announced pricing just yet. The current model starts at around $45,000, around $66,000 if you guys want the electric version. I would estimate this model that we're showing you here is probably gonna be closer to $70,000 because it's the fully loaded Sport Prestige, which again, does sound like a lot of money, but I also just recently tested a BMW X3 M50, which was around $76,000. So there is still a little bit of value to be had here, especially if you guys look at the lower end of the segment. But overall, I think Genesis has done a great job with the updates they've made for 2026. For Redline Reviews here at the 2024 Los Angeles International Auto Show, I'm Sofyan Bey.